I'm excited.
So what do you call cheese that isn't yours? Nacho cheese.
Oh, nacho
You're welcome. You're welcome.
cheese. That's a good one.
There is no way, sadly, when I was an adolescent that I would have taken the time to do this. And it speaks to not only yourselves, your open mind, but also I think where we're at as a society. I can look back and I can identify two key moments where my challenges with mental health really started to surface. And the first one, grade 8 graduation. I'm 13. And I remember they asked us to stand sideways. And they traced over our side profile. And then they put it on the wall of the gymnasium. The first time that I saw that, I was mortified. I was horrified. It actually unleashed something in my mind that was later diagnosed as body dysmorphic disorder. I was an alcoholic for many years, and that to me was this first love. It made me feel what people probably call normal. There was just so much pain, and the problem was that I didn't know how to talk about my pain. And meanwhile, I just hid behind that smile. And correct me if I'm wrong, but just because someone's smiling does not mean they are happy. Yes, and maybe some of you can relate to this, where you wake up in the morning and you're in pain and you have to put on that mask. And it's hard because then you're kind of having this internal battle, right? Where you can't really be your true authentic self. I found it exhausting. I think that we live in this world where we can be very quick to judge and we can be very short to have compassion. For those of us who struggle with mental health, there's a lot of pain. And when we lack the tools, we grab at straws, one of which was self-harm, one of which was alcohol. Later, I became a compulsive gambler. I lived out here because I did not want to go in here. I don't know how to talk about my pain, but I'm going to show you. Do you see me now? Do you hear me now? And I started meeting with counselors. Oh, let's talk about how you feel. What? I think not. So how do I react? How do I respond? Anger. I used anger as my shield. And I became a very angry, aggressive person on the outside, but on the inside, it was just sadness. The turning point is this. Feeling leads to healing. That's it. The only way to heal is to feel, which means you have to go through the middle of the problem and you don't have to fight alone. And I started to get a team around me. But yeah, the short and sweet is you have to do the work. I think I had the victim mentality for a long time. I wanted to be fixed. I wanted it to be better now. I didn't always want to do the work. Acknowledgement is very different than acceptance. I think often we can know that we have a problem, but whether or not we're willing to do something about it is completely different. You said it perfectly well, Laura. It's like addiction is living outside of self so that you don't have to be with self. It's that simple. His name is Justin Andres. Justin was my person, like a brother. We faced the same struggles. You know, I kind of saw it coming, but I lived in denial. And then when it happened, wow, did that rock my world. My biggest takeaway was this. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. So if you have someone in your circle of friends, in your family who's struggling, I have learned to say and do everything in those moments so that I don't ever have to look back thinking, I wish I had said this. I wish I had done more. I traced over his initials in a note that he left. And I put it on my throat, chakra. J.A., Justin Andres, as a reminder, I'm so done with the silence. I surrounded it with the phoenix, which is very much about rising up from the ashes. It's taking something that was absolutely awful and trying to make positive change, you know, to put a face, to put a voice to it. Shame has almost killed me for so many years. I think what I've learned is that I need to have that difficult conversation. I need to ask that difficult question. Are you feeling suicidal? It's a horrible question to ask. And I think often we fear asking the question because we fear the response. I love the First Nations culture. And I'm fortunate to have a lot of elders and learn from a lot of wise souls. And they always say that there's a reason that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. I have learned the value of listening. I mean, think about it for yourself. If you've ever been frustrated, you had a challenging day, and a friend is there for you to just talk, and 10 minutes goes by, and at the end of those 10 minutes, you sit back. How do you feel? I mean, often people say, I feel better. Why? Because there was a release. You talk about pain. Justin, helped me though to understand that's not the answer. And so it goes back to this. Every single challenging thing that I've gone through, I have put a voice to my pain. If I don't trust people, and there's a lot of times I don't, I go to a piece of paper. Because if emotions are energy, once again, which they are, we've got to get this stuff out. So I write, and I write, and I write, and then I burn it. I don't want anybody to see it. Those are 2 key tools for me that I learned from that. Talking, listening, and then also finding other ways to be free from that energy. It has to come out.
Another thing we talk about quite a bit, especially with youth, is redirecting those negative thought patterns, right? And challenging them, looking at a new way of reframing them in a more positive, realistic way, right?
If you aren't doing something to move the emotion, you're carrying it with you in this great big backpack. So if you can imagine right now, from the time you were born, you've been carrying this emotional backpack, and everything that has happened to you in your life is inside that backpack. And if you haven't dealt with any of it, imagine how heavy that backpack is.
Life is hard. Like I said this before, there was a reporter recently who says, motivational speaker, it must be nice to have everything all together and always be so upbeat. Nope, not even close. It's challenging. The difference is I no longer sit with it in isolation. I don't let myself isolate and withdraw. I have supports in place. And if there's one thing that I hang on to at all times, it's hope. That has been my saving grace. I look back at my life. I look back at the life that I led. There really is no logical explanation. There's no logical reason why I should still be upright, vertical breathing after the life that I've led. Other than this, all that I can do to make sense of the fact that I'm still here is I'm here to carry a message. I'm so done with the silence.